Okay, so here are the rails, and here is our show.
Completely off. Completely gone today. What in the world? Derailed.
Yay, you're here. Welcome to the CK and GK podcast. Let's get going.
Don't want to close my eyes. I don't want to fall asleep because I miss you, baby. And I don't want to miss Tuesday.
I was gonna chime in with you because how can you not chime in on that song? But I was like, if I do it, I don't know where she's gonna put the Tuesday. So I can't.
I don't know where she's going to put the Tuesday.
It's true. That's exactly what I was thinking is where will she put the Tuesday? I don't know. Could have gone on for a while. There's a few places you could have dropped it.
Okay, but please make that a YouTube short. I don't know where she's going to put the Tuesday.
Oh, man. Okay, well, we're so glad you're here, everybody. Today, we're going to spend some time talking about the mental load and one step that you can take towards a more equitable division of labor in your home. And this is inspired by one of my girlfriends who sent me a message, so we'll get into that in just a few minutes. But first, I need to introduce my co-host, the beautiful, phenomenal, well of ideas, Jenny GK, folks.
Oh, thanks. And with me is Caitlin, who we will call Chicago because she's always a great time. She's full of interesting history. She will blow you away. And sometimes she's on fire.
Sometimes she's on fire. Oh my God. Chicago's like, you stop talking about the second city like that. Oh man, you guys, one day she's going to compare me to like the molasses flood and it's going to be like, she's slow and she gives me or something like Oh God. Okay. It's been a while since we recorded, guys, so we've got some giggles to get out. So first, though, before we do that, I want to give a shout out to Team Cap Show. So you know this.
Tomo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
No, not at all. Not at all. Cap Show is AI podcasting software that helps with all of the written pieces you need to do for your show. So as we all do now, we're using generative AI to help with all the things, right? So I've been using it to help with just some of the content for our show, not all of it, but you know, it's a super helpful tool, and they're becoming very popular among the podcasting community, and they actually wrote a review of our show, which is so exciting. So they listened to an episode and they wrote a review. So if you haven't, this is our call to action to please go in and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It's super helpful. But thank you to Team Cap Show for leaving us that review. It was really awesome.
So I'm pretty excited. You have an idea today for our current obsessions that's different than what we normally do.
I know. Because what is the best day of the year, folks? It's not Treat Yourself Day. It's Prime Day. I was sending the meme out to everyone. It's the best day of the year from Parks and Rec when they're doing Treat Yourself.
Fine leather goods.
Right, exactly. So I want to know, what are your top 3 Prime Day purchases? Because as we all know, folks, Jenny is not allowed to shop on Amazon without supervision. But she was able to this year, so I need to know what your top 3 were.
This was my first Prime Day. I texted Caitlin mid-morning, and I was like, this is so overwhelming. I don't know what to do. Help me.
Right, what do I buy? I'm like, Tupperware that you need to replace, new bedding, towels. Like, think about it in terms of, like, what are some things you actually need? And then I was like, but also here's the dumb stuff I bought that, that was just for me, just for fun. So tell me what you bought.
So just for me, just for fun, I bought a matcha set.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so
do you like matcha?
I love matcha, and I crave it every once in a while. And right now this summer, it's like the flavor of the season. And I'm going and buying it at a coffee shop.
Yeah.
So I got all the stuff to make it at home. So the equipment has come in, but not the tea yet. So I'm excited when the tea arrives.
Yeah, tell me how I don't really like it. It's some people, it's like a love it or hate it flavor. And I think there's also a texture part of it that I can't get into. And I'm excited for
I'm
you.
looking forward to it. Like, I think like the whole ritual will be fun.
Yeah, there you go.
We also bought reusable water balloons. You might have seen these on the Webernet. They're like latex glove kind of material.
Okay.
With magnets. And you drop them in a bucket. They fill up and they close on their own with magnets, and then you can throw them. And so no cleanup, not bad for the environment. I think they're cool.
Yeah, or like easy cleanup.
Yeah,
because
my kids never get to do
pieces.
Yeah, my kids never get to do water balloons because of the pieces of latex everywhere in the yard.
Yeah, it's gross.
It's really bad for the earth, and you can never really pick up all the pieces.
Right, exactly.
So these ones, it's like a set of 24, and they're reusable, and each kid gets a bucket. And they can keep throwing all day.
Perfect.
The next of the top 3 is a smart lock for the front door.
Ooh, like you put in a code?
Mm-hmm. So we have a code on the back door, but we're getting one for the front door. I'm so excited. Also, our door handle has kind of been sticky lately. And this will fix that too. So I'm excited about that.
I want one of those too.
The code is going to be 1234.
Perfect. There you go. No problems.
So I feel like that's a really secure code.
Yeah. Probably. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about that for when my child is older and we're having issues of coming home and like coming and going as we please sort of situations where it might be easier to have a code rather than a key. I don't want to think about lost keys like that. That gives me anxiety to think about. So I think I love that idea. That's great. Okay. So my 3 Amazon Prime Day purchases. Yes. Okay, so I bought some like normal things like I told you I would. Yeah, sure. But I bought myself a desk riser so that I can stand up while I work. So I can put my 2 monitors on it, and like lift and lower. And then I also bought an under desk treadmill because I'm finding that when you're teaching, you got up and you walked around all the time. Yes. And I don't do that as often as I need to. And I do go for my walk in the morning, but like going for a walk in the morning and then sitting for the rest of the day just like doesn't feel good at all. Like I'm noticing I'm much more stiff and all that. So all of my colleagues all have these under desk, not all, most of them have some way to stand up while they're working or work while walking. And so I was like, just tell me which one to buy. I looked at under desk treadmills for probably like 45 minutes, like just comparing and saying, oh, well, this one. And then, so I just got a recommendation and did that. So I'm excited for that, but it's Prime Day and it was a Prime item, but it's still not here. And I'm very upset. So I'm just,
that's how I feel about my tea.
I know.
I have the little brush and I'm like, but I can't mix anything with it.
This is the problem with Prime Day is that everyone buys on Prime Day, which means Prime Day shipping goes from 1 or 2 days to like 7. Anyway. So,
meanwhile, when you buy something from Wayfair, it can take like 9 months. I still haven't gotten my couch. I bought Memorial Day weekend.
That's insane. That's not cool. The other thing that I bought is a new light for when I go on my walkies in the morning.
Oh, is it like a headlamp?
No. Not quite that nerdy, but it's pretty hardcore. So my dad, I'm in Colorado a week or so ago, and my dad was like, do you go for walks early in the morning? I said, yeah, when I go, it's like pitch black out. He was like, you need something like more than just this like little wrist. I have a slap bracelet, like wrist light.
Stop.
No, I do. And I have 4 different colors, but 2 of the batteries have already died. So I have to like, it's a pain to replace them. And in the summer, it's a little bit tight. So it gets really sweaty. So I literally will have sweat like dripping down my fingers and my forearm. It's so gross. So,
maybe not so much explanation of that.
Oh, you're welcome. So this light that I got it kind of looks like a vest. So,
oh my God, like a laser tag?
Got like a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. It's got like a a big plastic LED thing on the back that looks kind of like a teardrop. And then it has a reflective, like, waist stretchy strap that clips together. And then there's like LED strings that go over my arms and around my back. So it looks like a vest that's missing a bunch of material.
Okay, so let me tell you this. I am not an early riser during the summer, but you just inspired me to get up really early and go to your neighborhood.
And watch me walk around.
I need to see you with this thing.
So my dad's like, you really need something to be safe, right? And there's no way I'm getting hit with this thing on. There's no way. It's so, and it has like different color modes and it can flash. And I'm like, can it just be like one color? Like, I don't need.
I feel like you could wear it to the club at night.
I could totally wear it to a rave, and it would look.
I think you should walk with a speaker playing Sandstorm.
Yeah, so it does come with like a clip-on Bluetooth speaker, because when you're walking by yourself in the dark, being able to hear your surroundings is probably a good thing.
I always get mad when I see cyclists with 2 headphones in.
I get mad when I see that in the car. Take your AirPods out of your ears in the car.
Right.
Like that,
like,
or like take one out. Like, come on, I haven't subscribed to that yet, because I don't like when I go by someone who's walking and they have their phone out and that you can just hear every single bit of what they're doing. I feel like that's not going to work for me.
Just take one out. Just take one out.
Yeah.
And be aware of your surroundings.
Usually when it's super dark, I'll have only one in, but I am considering that add-on purchase. But because my dad sent me a link to this thing, and it's not an Amazon company, but they sell through Amazon. So it was a really good deal on Prime Day. So I think I got it for like 50% off, which was really nice. So those are my three things. What do you have for gems? Let's talk about those.
Okay. So you know that I'm a spiritual person.
Yes.
I don't really evangelize.
No.
I don't push my faith on my kids. I hope that one day they will learn and make a good choice for them when they are ready.
Yes.
Whatever choice that's going to be.
Sure.
A friend of mine many years ago told me that my only jobs are to bask in God's light and reflect it to others. And I kind of feel like that's a good explanation of faith for me.
I like that.
That said, it's very important that you remember that when I'm telling this story. We took Kit to his first movie in the theater. It was Indiana Jones. And in preparation for this, we watched the first Indiana Jones movies. I am not going to discuss the fourth one, the Crystal Skull thing, because that's not a real Indiana Jones movie, and I didn't show it to my children. But we watched all 3 of the first ones. Kit liked the movie. He did really well. It's kind of long, and I was proud of him for staying in his seat. He only needed 1 bathroom break. Like, it was really great.
Wow.
Fast forward to a few days later, and the kids are playing with those water beads, right? There's like a brand name of them, Orbeez or whatever, but like you put them in water and they grow. Abby put them in a big Tupperware bin, and they were going to put their feet in there and their hands. And at one point, Kit gets his whole body in there and takes a little bath in them. But before she would let him get in, she washed his feet so that they didn't get dog hair and nastiness into the
Yeah.
And I said, man, Kit, this is a real treat. Jesus washed his friend's feet before he saved the world. And Kit looks at me and says, from the Nazis?
Oh.
So we are joining a new church this weekend.
Yes. The Church of Harrison Ford. That's a great church.
I was like, we are taking you to church because Jesus did not save the world from the Nazis.
Someone somewhere is like, he sure did. But
it was so good. I was like, all right.
Again, we both know that I'm not the most spiritual person, but if there is a Church of Harrison Ford,
oh, please,
I will sign up.
Yeah, no, definitely call me a disciple.
I will go see those sermons every week. All right. Well, folks, this is your reminder that you need to delete your Google history upon your unaliving. When that happens, have a designated friend go in and delete all the things. So this is my request to you to be that person for me.
Absolutely.
My son says to me the other day, Mom, what happens to your computer when you die? 'Cause I'm gonna have to delete your profile before I use that. So there's that. My child is ready for me to kick the bucket so that he can have my computer.
Yes. This is like Abby seeing dogs when our bulldog was at the end of her life and be like, oh, that's the kind of dog I want to get when Ramsey dies. We're like,
Yeah.
You can't replace the dog.
Right. No, I used to do this to my mother. I would like, she'd be on the couch taking a nap and I would like go over to her and I would raise her eyelid, you know, as you do, raise her eyelid and I would go, Mom, can I have this piece of jewelry when you die? She was like, there's nothing like a 4-year-old going up to you while you're trying to take a nap while she's supposed to be napping, and you can tell she's been digging through your costume jewelry, and then she's asking you if she can have a piece of it when you die by opening your eyeball, like opening up your eyelids for you. Oh, so yeah, that's what's going on.
Nice.
I feel like this is the right time to take a break. Yes?
Yeah.
All right. We'll be right back. Hey, we're back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. So, I am going to start this real talk session about how to perhaps, hopefully, lighten the mental load for yourself with your partner by sharing a little text submission. So this comes from my friend E, and I'm not going to say this person's name because I don't want this person to get in trouble with their other friends. So E sends me a text and it says, like, I have a rant for you. And I feel like you need to hear this. So here it goes. All names have been changed for her anonymity. There you go. So last week, Callum and I went to 3 summer water pool activities with friends. Callum is her husband. For 2 of those events, Callum was the only husband in the water with all the moms. Meanwhile, all the kids were there in the water. The middle event had great participatory dads, but I needed to include this other one for reference. So then she says, the first time it happened at event number 1, Callum was frustrated because he also wanted to chat with all the guys more, but they were literally all inside.
Like not even at the pool.
Not even at the pool.
In the air conditioning.
In the air conditioning.
Oh, bad.
While their kids and their partners were all in the pool.
No. Okay, yeah. Keep going.
The second time it happened, she said we had to laugh with each other and go, oh, look, what happened again? All of the guys are inside just chumming it up while all of their wives are in the pool with all the children, making sure everyone is safe and being played with.
Not okay.
Right. And she goes, okay, but for real, WTF? And so my answer to her was, this feels like the whole mom is the parent, dad is the babysitter.
Oh, yeah.
BS. Ew. Yeah.
Which I think most dads would go against that these days.
Or at least be offended by it.
Yeah, they'd be like, no, I'm not babysitting. That's weird. That was what they said in the 80s.
And it's not. It got said in the 90s and in the 2000s, and it's still being said. So, yeah. But I also said, it reminds me of those family dinners at a restaurant when, like, the whole family gets together, but mom doesn't get to eat her food when it's hot or when it's delivered because she's off, like, taking care of the baby or nursing in private or whatever. Meanwhile, dad is super chummy and 2 beers in and laughing it up with everyone, but she's just, like, alone in the corner. So it made me think about the number of times that I felt alone when I did have a baby. You go to nurse by yourself in a private room, or you put the baby to bed when everybody's at your house and you're doing it alone. And I don't mean to sound like my husband didn't help, because that's not at all the case. I feel very fortunate that Bryce is actually probably the one who does most of the day-to-day parenting, honestly. He would come and, like, sit with me and all those things. But, like, it is very isolating and lonely at times when the kids get older and you still, like, you're feeling like you're still the one on the hook all the time. Like that, That's hard. My experience with sharing parenting duties doesn't really seem like it's the typical experience. My friend's text started just having gears turn in my head, and I started looking for an actual, like, practical way to have a conversation with your partner to lighten that mental load. And this goes for any relationship. There, not every relationship has an equitable division of labor. So I think wives who are in heteronormative relationships often feel the most burden of that mental load. So I'm particularly speaking to them, but this can go for any relationship where one person feels like they're burdened with more of the emotional and physical labor of maintaining a family, right?
I think you really did a good job of describing that by saying one person feels like they. It might actually be that there's an even 50-50 split, but just having the conversation and realizing that your partner feels overwhelmed is really important.
Right. And I've seen a lot of these different things on TikTok and other various places of like women trying to make it known how much work they're doing in the household by doing things like going on strike, where they leave everything where it is. Like they clean the house and then just watch as things get destroyed for the next 4 days or whatever. And they literally don't touch the dishes or they don't pick up the socks or anything like that. And watching what happens. I also saw a story about a man whose wife died too young and he had a young child or maybe 2 young kids. And he ended up hiring a team of 4 people to do all of the stuff that his wife had done. Okay. 4 people for one person.
It's so interesting that you would say that, because when we were growing up, and this was like common conversation, like this is not like some secret of my family, but when we were growing up, my mom had tons of life insurance because my dad realized that having a stay-at-home mom slash like sometimes she worked part-time, but like she never worked full-time until we were all in junior high. But when we were young, huge amount of life insurance because he realized how valuable her time was. And he was like, she cooks, she cleans, she takes care of the kids, she drives around town. Like we will need a lot of money to pay a person to do what she does.
Right. And it's kind of shocking when you hear like 4 people to do the wife's, she did it all by herself and you're hiring 4 people to do that. Like that's completely nuts. So
even if you just paid someone 8 hours a day,
right,
you would need 3 people.
Right. It's insane. So I found this article. So the information here is very heavily sourced from an article on PureWow by Rachel. I don't know if it's Bowie or because it looks like Bowie because we're in Texas, but it could be Bowie. And I've linked it in the show notes. It's all about taking a step towards fixing the issue here, which is not, I need you to help me with. It is actually much deeper than that. She notes that it's really easy to point fingers and say like, oh, he never does this, or I always am the one who does that. Right. But in my experience, whenever I've tried to, or whenever I've kept score on anything like that in any relationship in my life with my husband or a friend or anything else, if I keep score, it just makes me angry, right? It just makes me resentful of that person. So if I'm sitting there,
I had a pastor tell me resentment is the cancer of marriage.
Absolutely agree. Completely. It's a cancer of any relationship, right? If you are looking at your kid and you're going, I'm always picking up your socks, it will make you resent your child. Like it goes with any relationship. So just keeping score is so toxic and it's just not a good thing for you to do. So, there's an author named Eve Rodsky who wrote Fair Play, a game-changing solution for when you have too much to do and more life to live. I'm going to link that book in the show notes here as well. But she mentions that having an actual reflective conversation with your spouse about past experiences with domestic work can actually be a more helpful way to get to the root of the issue, which is, I always do this or he never does that. So basically, the idea is that you have to get at the history that led you to adopt whatever domestic habits you have in the first place. Because there's a really good chance that those habits were learned when you were a kid, based on what you saw your parents doing, right?
Sure.
So her example that she says everyone can probably relate to is grocery shopping. Let's just say that growing up, your partner's mother always managed the meal planning and the grocery shopping all the time. Doesn't it then follow that if you are the female partner in your relationship, that the male partner who always observed his mother taking care of all of that would be more hands-off?
Sure.
Because that's what he grew up with. It's what he's used to, right?
Yeah. There's a reason why therapists ask about your family of origin.
Right. Because what you saw is going to feed into whatever experiences you have now and your behaviors now. So really what you need to do is find out what that history is, because then you can breed empathy and understanding, right? And then from empathy and from understanding, you can then connect over something and actually get at the root of the problem. So when you have connection, also you can kind of start to break that resentment apart, right?
Right.
If you already have it, you can kind of break it up, or maybe you can stop it from happening in the first place. So once you know where the behavior comes from, you can really address that. So maybe you have a conversation about the experiences that they had. You say like, hey, tell me about the grocery shopping when you were a kid. Just ask that question. Who handled it? Who handled the cooking? Who handled whatever, the cleaning? Who did the laundry? Whatever. And then you can actually understand why the behavior is what it is, and then make a plan for next steps, right? Mm-hmm. You can then say like, okay, so I understand that your mom always handled all the grocery shopping, and that's why you're more hands off. I, however, really need some assistance with the grocery shopping. So maybe that means that you can say, I will do the grocery shopping, but I can't also do the meal planning. So if you would like to tell me what it is that you would like to have for 2 days a week, either you can shop for those items or you put those items on the list and then I can go get them.
Yes.
Or I'm fine to do the grocery shopping and the meal planning, but you need to do the cooking.
I hear Brene Brown, clear as kind.
Just making that expectation clear, but also you're acknowledging that experience at the same time. So you're not saying like, you don't do this, you don't do that. You're saying, I understand this is where you're coming from, and here's where I am also coming from, and I really need some help. And remember, no buts, ands. Ands are always better. They're more inclusive, right? So
we have a friend who used to say, if you say but, you are negating everything that you just said.
Everything you've just said. Right. I love you, but is not helpful, right?
No.
I love you and I want this to be better. That's a very different statement than I love you, but I need this to be better, right? Yeah. So this obviously is not going to be the solution to the dad as the babysitter issue, but maybe you can have a conversation of when you were growing up and you were playing with your parents, who was the one who arranged the games? Who was the one who arranged the play dates? Who was the one who made the dentist appointments? Tell me about those things. And then if I need to, I can make a list, or I can put an appointment in our shared family calendar that says make the dentist appointment, and then that's going to be on you to do it, or whatever it needs to be.
Right.
I also need to acknowledge that this conversation, you may be too far gone in your relationship to even have this conversation, right? Like you might be so resentful and so done, which if you've been the one who's handling everything all the time, it would be completely understandable for you to be like, I'm so done, I can't even have this conversation right now. However, if you feel like it's worth having the conversation, this might be the entry point into a more equitable shared division of household labor.
Okay.
Whether it's kids or tasks, right?
So I have a real life example that happened yesterday.
Oh,
in
I'd
our
love
relationship. Okay.
Yeah.
So John and I have been together 10 years. Okay. Actually, like we went on our first date 10 years ago today.
Oh, how cool. I love it. Congratulations.
Yeah. So not really today, the day that we're recording, but today, the day that the episode comes out.
Yeah.
But
no.
Anyway, he hates making phone calls.
As every millennial does.
Right. He's like a text email person. Identifying as Gen X, I don't care.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll make the phone call. No problem. In fact, there's a lot of times where I skip the text, I skip the email, and I just go straight to the phone call.
Yeah.
Unless it's dealing with parents at school, at which point it's an email because I want everything in writing.
The paper trail. Yeah.
But in general, I don't have a problem calling businesses or whatever. But it irks me because he doesn't let me into his thinking about what questions he wants me to ask. And so it's like, will you call such and such and ask them about this? And then also this, and then also this, and then also this. I'm like, no. So yesterday, he actually went through and hammered out an email to me with all the questions he needed answers to. And let me tell you, it was so helpful to both of us because now I'm making the phone call that he doesn't want to make. And I don't feel like I'm not going to do well enough because I don't have the right information. And he doesn't feel like he has to stand next to me and like whisper things for me to say.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like if he didn't give you that information, you'd be set up to fail, right? Like you're not going to address the needs because you don't know what the needs actually are. You're just calling to do him a favor. Like it's not. Yeah.
Right. And I have told him so many times, let me into your thinking. I need to know what you're thinking.
Yes.
And so finally we've just devised this situation. And again, it took 10 years, but he sends me the email that he would have sent to the company. And then I use it to make a phone call.
I love that. There's empathy now. There's understanding now. And it's more fair. You're going to actually get the answers that you want. He's not going to be frustrated that you didn't get the answers. And he's done the thinking for you. And all you have to do is regurgitate. That is perfect. I love it.
And, you know, like you said, like every millennial doesn't want to make a phone call. I have empathy that he doesn't want to make a phone call. I even made a joke to him. Did you only marry me because I'm not afraid of using the phone? And then, of course, he comes back with, well, that and your great fortune that you came with.
Yeah.
Remember when we got married, I was $50,000 in debt. So.
Yeah. Right.
Actually, when we met, I was $50,000 in debt.
Yeah. No,
and he married me anyway.
Right.
No, and I had a fabulous credit score because I made the payment on my credit cards every single month.
Every month on time. Yep.
Yes.
I got it.
So I had a great credit score, but a giant pile of debt.
Oh, God.
Whatever. It's paid off now. So I really think that this conversation can be had, like you said, just about the grocery store or just about making the phone call or just about cleaning the bathroom. It doesn't need to be this whole blow up. I always do all of the things and you don't do anything and I'm so tired. Make it accessible to the partner that you are confronting. Even though it's not confrontational, you are bringing up something that could evoke hurt and could be challenging. Do it in a way that's like specific about one task.
Yeah, it's less overwhelming that way for everyone involved, right? It's like you're not nitpicking every single little thing, so you're not gonna accuse them of being an overall crappy partner.
Exactly.
And I get very heated about things, but that doesn't mean that I like to have the confrontation, right? Like I get very anxious about confrontation, and there's a lot of like, oh, I can't handle it if this person doesn't like me, sort of thing happening. And having those conversations with my partner is very scary and intimidating because I don't want to do anything that would jeopardize that relationship that I have because it's a very special one to me and I don't want to ruin it. So approaching it in this way is very special. It's not going to solve the problem, right? No. However, it could be a baby step in the right direction. And so I'm going to put the article that Rachel Bowie wrote with all of the commentary from Eve Rodsky in there. I think it would be a really helpful to read. I do feel like I've summarized it pretty well here, but it is definitely worth looking at for yourself if you'd like to see the other things that Rodsky had to say. And if you want to take a look at her book, it'll also be in the show notes.
Excellent. I want to address your friend.
Yes.
I want to tell her that it is not the time to talk about the pool behavior after the party.
No.
It is before the next one.
Yes.
And say, hey, today we're going to go to the pool. A bunch of friends are going to be there. Can you do me a favor? It kind of feels like the guys are inside and the girls are outside. Will you invite your friends to come outside and be in the pool with us? Even if you're not going to get in the water, can you at least like help me keep eyes on the kids?
I like it.
Because like you said, like you need to understand where they're coming from, but reactionary is just anger. And then there's nothing that your partner can do to fix it. So they're just put out too.
And I thought it was interesting also, and I told her as much, like her partner noticed it too. Her partner was like,
right.
Why are all the dads inside? Like, I can't even talk to the dads because they're all inside. Like, that's kind of sucky. And then he put it together like, oh my gosh, all the dads are inside. All the moms are out here.
Yeah.
And my friend's like, I mean, just for the hair and makeup alone, couldn't the guys come outside? Another reason why I love this woman, because she just like says funny things on top of serious things. It's great. I said, kudos to you. You've got a good one who noticed that this is an issue, right? And he's always been very attentive. I watched him one time stop a little boy from drinking bubbles. So like he's always, and the little boy was right next to me. Now, in fairness, I was monitoring my own little boy and trying to stop him from drinking bubbles, but it was pretty amazing. I had to say, like, you have a good one. This is so great that he noticed, and that both of you noticed again when it happened a second time out of 3 parties
Right.
kind of a big deal. So hopefully like a conversation like that for her would be pretty easy to have, right? Because it seems like they're both on the same page, at least about this one particular.
Yeah, that in her case, it's you have the power. Do you think you can get the guys to come out?
You can empower the guys to come out, right? Like say, I want to be out here with the kids because my wife needs help, or I'm also the parent. I should be outside with my kids, which is probably the way he would phrase it.
Use me as an excuse, set a timer, and when it goes off, say, okay, I got to go relieve the moms. Come on, guys.
Yeah, I love the use me as an excuse. I tell people to do that with me all the time.
Yeah. I mean, and it's the same thing when your kids are older and you say, look, here's the text you send me when you need me to call and say it's time to come home.
Right. Right. Oh, I have totally said with the kid, with students, I would say things like that. Like, if you feel like it's not a good idea for you to sit next to this person in class anymore because they're getting you in trouble, you can say, Miss Kindred pulled me aside and said, I can't sit next to you anymore, so I'm not going to sit next to you anymore because she's going to get mad. And then you blame it on me, and I'm fine being that person.
Absolutely.
Who you blame it on, and then you know. So I think that that's a great way to go about it. I mean, it seems to work for the two of them. I feel like it could work for other couples too. But I think it's also applicable to any relationship. It doesn't have to just be the dad-mom dynamic. I think anyone who feels like they're overwhelmed and tired of doing the same tasks over and over again could probably have that conversation.
Yeah. And like my example yesterday, John and I split things pretty evenly. I feel like we have a good balance. But for one specific task, it drives me insane how he wants me to do it. And now he and I figured out a way for me to do it that's helpful.
I love it. It's great. Works really well.
There you go.
All right. So,
Gen X forever.
I saw a tweet just a little while ago that said millennials hate talking on the phone but love podcasting.
Oh, that's funny. That's hilarious.
But a phone conversation is basically just a podcast that doesn't get recorded, which is even funnier because that's how we started this show.
Yes. Well, and I think back to the very early episodes of MFM, and like one of the girls was at a party and they're like, oh, what are you up to? She doesn't have a podcast, which I know is like the most self-indulgent thing you can do, but yeah.
I like listening to myself talk, okay? It's fine.
And I feel like what I have to say is really important, so I'm going to publicize it for everyone.
The whole world needs to hear it.
I am getting a knock at the door. I have a 4-year-old who has a very important message to give me. I think it involves a bouncy ball. So I'm going to close us. Don't forget to leave us a great review on Apple Podcasts or anywhere else that you pod, and make good choices.
You can have this conversation. You can do it. I promise. And enjoy your Prime Day purchases. Okay, bye!
Bye!
Hey friends, thanks for listening to the CK and GK podcast. Find us at CK and GK podcast on Instagram and Twitter, and rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, or anywhere else that you pod. See you next time.